Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Somewhere between science and superstition.
We have such sights to show you.
Strange Eons. Welcome to Strange Eons Radio. That's Eric over there.
Hello.
That's Vanessa over there.
Hello.
I'm Kelly. I can't remember why exactly I ended up on our Apple Podcast page.
Okay.
Because I don't use Apple Podcasts. I think I was trying to find out how to get an RSS feed for a different podcast because, as you guys know, I am the last person who uses the Zune software for my podcast, and I have to get it through an RSS feed.
Right.
So I was trying to figure out how one would do that from Apple Podcasts. Then I went to our page to see if we had that RSS symbol on there, which we don't. So Apple wants you to only listen to it through their app.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I then saw that we had like 4.8 out of 5 stars on a certain amount of reviews, and I was like, wow! So I decided to read these reviews, and I was really pleased. I was like, oh, this is really nice. Who are these people? And then one name stood out, Todreich, which Eric, you said last episode had bought us some pizzas. Do you know who that is?
I do now.
Okay. Because when the episode came out, Danny immediately contacted me and he said, I think Eric knows that that's the name I go by online. And I said, Eric's an idiot. He didn't know that.
Yeah, he sent it. He sent that to me. And I said, I look at it, go, oh, okay. Then eventually it's, I see what he's doing here.
So thanks, Danny, as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Vanessa, you got something in the mail today?
I did get something in the mail from a Danny, in fact.
The Danny or a Danny?
I believe it's the Danny. And now I know your address, sir, because it's on the envelope. Yeah, I got a very nice card. It has a flower on it. It says, just for you. It might have either a sun or an avocado at the top. I can't tell.
I assume there's a dick pic in there?
For once, there is not.
Oh.
And
well, then, Danny, would you stop sending them to me? I don't want that either.
It's okay. He actually does like them. And in it has a nice little note that says, Vanessa, of the 3 hosts, you are the least likely one to ask me to throw bail. Yours in horror, Danny.
He just doesn't know you very well, I think.
I mean, I wouldn't ask, but I'd probably need it.
Yeah. Like, hi.
I appreciate that. I am in his high regards. And I got letters. I got a piece of mail.
That's
I have
nice.
my name on it. I love getting mail. It's so fun.
That's nice. Eric?
Yeah.
Vanessa?
Yeah.
Are you guys watching Moon Knight?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we talk about this?
Yeah.
Sure.
I think that everybody knows I was very excited for this show.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And I am less excited at the end of episode 2. But I do like information being kind of piecemealed out. I love that in a story. But this is so few and far between, the tidbits of information you're getting here.
Right.
And I like that they kind of tied into his comic book origin in the dossier that the one person was holding. I was like, oh, okay, that's right out of there. And we've seen hints of Frenchie.
Right.
Yeah.
I assume that this woman who is his wife is their version of Marlene.
Right.
But it makes me say, why don't we get Marlene? Why do we have to have this different name?
Yeah, I don't remember if they changed her name in some of the later comics or not, but I'm not sure.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
And there's some parts in it. Look, I feel like we're going to find out that Stephen Grant is actually the rich playboy we thought he was.
Mm-hmm.
He just has been doesn't remember he is, because there's no way you own that flat.
Yeah.
Right.
And without having a shit ton of money. I'm going to assume that his mother that he's talking to on the phone doesn't really exist. And
Sure.
the postcard that he got from her looked an awful lot like the postcard the museum sells.
Yeah.
So I think that we are going to see Jake Lockley here. I think we got a glimpse of him at the end of episode 2. So there's parts of it I'm really liking, but then there's the part where at the end of episode 1, he fights a Anubis
Jackal.
dog.
I think they called it a jackal in the second episode.
And of course, he's found out that everybody in the museum is working for Amit. And then he goes back to work the next day.
And like looks at the security footage with a guy.
When you know that all of this stuff is going on, I can kind of buy that he's confused and everything. I can't buy that after having your life threatened that you go back to the place where it happened.
Yeah.
So just as a storyline thing, I was like, I don't get this. And quite honestly, this is Marvel marveling up Moon Knight. And so we get a character like Oscar Isaac, who I think is fucking brilliant in everything he does, acting cute and silly and stuff like that. And I'm like, I guess we were promised a much darker show, and we're not getting that, or at least I'm not getting it.
Were we promised a much darker show?
Well, by fact that it was Moon Knight.
Right. Yeah.
Moon Knight is a very dark comic book.
I mean,
deals with some really crazy psychological shit, and I feel like we are getting a very Disney Marvel Moon Knight.
It's, I've actually been a little lackluster on it as well, which sucks because I was wondering whether this was the first time I'm experiencing that thing that all the other fanboys and girls and whatever people experience.
Kelly watching the Boba Fett show.
of actually knowing what this property is and having read some of it at least, and feeling like, wait, they didn't do this. Wait, that's not right about that.
The difference is, though, which versions of Moon Knight did you read? Because the different versions of him,
mostly the
in Kevin's years,
recent stuff,
90s stuff.
Yeah.
Like, what was that? That dark series they did for a while with Ghost Rider and Moon Knight.
Yeah, I read like Lemire and Warren Ellis.
Yeah, Warren Ellis's version are all really different takes in a lot of ways. But for me, the second episode felt like, okay, this may lead to someplace neat, but the start has been
but there's
really
only
clumsy.
6 episodes.
Only 6 episodes. I know. I'm like, guys, you can't do this.
That's 2 films.
Yeah.
2 films worth of time.
That's true.
3 hours and 3 hours. That's 2 movies.
I feel like the information being doled out is really weird. Like it feels really staggered.
It's very weird.
Like sometimes it's like just a little teeny tiny breadcrumbs, and then other times it's long amounts of exposition. And it's kind of frustrating me, especially when they do the exposition where I'm like, okay, it's like, oh, by the way, I was the previous avatar and you're the avatar, and then your girlfriend might be the next avatar. And I'm like, wait, what is this? Is this a thing in the comics? Because I never came across that before, but that's okay.
Yeah, it's a mess. The start is definitely, the first episode was a giant, this makes no sense. Nothing's going on. And the second one was like, okay, this is almost becoming
too much
a Moon Knight story.
Yeah.
But not. And so it's like, is the next one going to be
like evened out?
It's definitely really pulling weird from the Lemire series. I'm recognizing a lot of that, although Warren Ellis has got to be watching this going, well, that's not who Mr. Knight is. Not just a costume that Steven puts on. That's another personality.
Yeah.
And that was a really interesting thing that happened there in the comics, where he realized, oh, I need to have a kinder and gentler Moon Knight to deal with the public. And so this persona suddenly kind of came out in him. And I don't know. Here's the problem. I don't mind you fucking with an origin story or anything. Stephen Grant being a gift shop employee instead of a wealthy playboy. I don't mind any of that as long as it is better than what was established in the comics.
Right.
Otherwise, why not just go with what was established in the comics?
At least it's Oscar Isaac, though.
I mean, to have him turn into a suit simply because that's probably what he was thinking in his head when he called for the suit.
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's not clever at all. That's just
I guess
So yeah,
I guess I didn't mind that part as much, but yeah, I think I'm on the same page as you guys where it feels like I'm not feeling confident yet, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe it'll get better.
Yeah, I'll keep watching simply because both versions of the suit look fucking great.
yeah.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the fact that they were able to do something that seems so obvious with the original Moon Knight suit and turn it into something that feels more Egyptian.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, duh. Why haven't the comics ever done this? That makes perfect sense.
Well, I can recommend a show maybe you haven't been watching. I'm wondering if either of you have seen that you should be.
Oh, okay.
Have either of you heard of / come across / watched Severance?
No, but I've been reading a crap ton about it, so it definitely seems like something I need to check out.
I haven't, but the reviews I was reading did not make me feel like I needed to see it.
It's incredible.
That is not what I heard.
It is incredible.
That's weird because I've read almost the exact opposite.
You read they were incredible?
Really good, yeah.
It's so good. I mean, I really liked it. Feels like a mix of The Prisoner meets Devs, which was the show that I'd really raved about at the beginning of the pandemic. It's just really well told, great mystery feeling, weird feeling.
This is the one where you completely they separate you completely from work and your outside life. So
Correct.
You have no memory.
So anybody who decides to work at the Loomis Corporation undergoes a procedure where they separate out their work self from their self, their normal everyday personage. And anybody who's doing this procedure is a highly controversial procedure, is probably doing it for their own personal reasons, right? So one person has a big trauma that they want to not think about, and they want like a version of themselves that isn't steeped in this. Other people, they each have their reason for doing this. But we don't know what that is. We only see at the beginning the work selves who they show up, they walk out of an elevator, they have their work day, they go in an elevator, and the next thing they know, they walk out of an elevator again. So it's almost like a form of torture. And the good things, the prizes they get for these long work hours are things like finger traps. It's like really awful, really, really awful scenario where it's a kind of mini version of hell. But there's also all this mystery of like, what are these weird rooms? What does this company do? Like, who are these other departments? And who are the other people? Who are we? We don't know who we are as individuals. Like, who are we on our Audi versus our innie, which is what they're calling themselves. It's a pretty brilliant. I just fell in love with it completely head over heels. So I highly recommend it.
I guess I will have to check this out.
Yeah.
I think you should.
I saw one that was less successful, I'll say. A Shudder original or Shudder distribution of See For Me.
Oh, yeah.
Have you watched this one?
No, but I saw the poster pop up and I was like, this looks dumb.
Well, I just thought of the Flanagan one where the woman was
right,
and that worked really well. So I was like, what the hell? Shudder's earned a moniker. Let's check out what they got, I guess. But and this one actually was very close to being really good. The storyline is there's a woman who's recently been blind. She house sits for people. It's kind of the job she does. She takes care of their house and like in this case, a cat, and has this new app that's called See For Me, where she calls up and puts up the camera and the person on the other end tells you what's going on. And 3 people break into the house.
Right.
And so she has to figure out what to do with them. The problem is the lead, through no fault of her own, this is entirely writing, is very unlikable. So the person you're supposed to kind of hope for and feel for, at the beginning it works. She gets very upset with her mom. I can do my own shit is her thing. I don't need your help and stuff, which works great to establish her as a willful character at the beginning. But as the movie goes on, the lady she's talking to on See For Me is trying to help her, and she's just like, just snaps at her for no reason. I'm like, it's okay to say, okay, cool, or just ignore it and continue on listening to the instructions. And so every time you start to start to like her and go, wow, I hope she's okay. One of those lines come out again where you're going, why is anybody helping you? I don't see what anybody would want to help you for, and why this person on the other end just doesn't hang up.
Well, this sounds like a perfect way to create a character arc. She doesn't get better by the end?
No.
Oh, what a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to, though, the way it ends should feel like a triumphant return.
Mm.
But by that time, you dislike her enough that you're like, huh. And through her own fault, cop trying to help her gets killed. And other, so it's just like, you know what? You've gone beyond a redeemable point now.
Yeah.
So it's just like, huh. Well, damn. Overall, it's a well-made film. If they just cut like 3 lines out of it, made the character somebody you want to root for, it would have been actually really successful.
It's interesting because I saw the trailer for that and they had one of those lines in there where she's like yelling at the person helping her. And I remember watching being like, this, I don't like that. Yeah. I'm going to pass for now. So even if it's a great piece, that is irritating.
Yeah.
Nothing worse than like a self-sabotaging main character who never gets better.
Okay, let me think. I've seen so much that I want to talk about.
Right?
I got to figure out what I want to talk about. I think I'm going to talk about a movie called Hellbender that is on Shudder.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
This movie is pretty good. It's about a young girl who has been told all her life that she has kind of this autoimmune disease, can't be around people and all that, and they live out in the middle of the woods and all this stuff. And actually, it turns out that she is a witch, and her mother is a witch, and her mom is like, you're actually a little too powerful to be around people. People will corrupt you and all of this stuff. And she finds this out by bumping into another teen that's out, in the woods and all this, and they start hanging out together, and she becomes, a little rebellious and everything, and then once she comes into her powers, it's kind of a Dark Phoenix story, and you realize, oh, she is really capable of some horrible things. The story is cool. It looks great and all that stuff, but the backstory is even more interesting in that it's an Addams Family production. Are you guys familiar with the Addams Family?
Yeah.
This is literally a mother, a father, and their 2 daughters, and they do everything. They are the actors. They are the 4 actors in the film. They switch who's the director in various scenes, who's holding the camera, sound. They are making the score for the film themselves. And once you know that and you watch it, you're just like, wow. I mean, there are a couple of special effects in here that are pretty decent for a low-budget film that they did not do. That obviously they felt like, we'll farm this out. But I have a feeling on the next film, they'll probably have figured all that out too. It's really, really cool. I can't wait to see what they do next. It is called Hellbender, and it is on Shudder.
It's like the Partridge Family of filmmakers.
Exactly.
There's a reference. It's really freaking dated.
I was like, I don't think I've seen a single episode of Partridge Family. But...
I don't know if I have, but anyway.
Well, I went to the theaters, as I am wont to do sometimes. And I checked out a big Marvel movie.
Oh, my.
Morbius?
It is Morbius.
Yeah, that's the one that's there now.
Sure is. You guys seen Morbius?
I may have caught it.
That sure is a film that I sat through.
It sounds like Marvel's first true dud.
Well,
it feels like Sony.
This is Sony, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Sony Marvel,
okay.
but it is.
Right.
It does have the Marvel beginning. I think Marvel did go ahead and go, yeah, okay, you're ours. But it's like a stepchild.
That's a 4-point. That man thing I talked about had that Marvel intro to it too. So, guess they've had duds long ago.
Yeah, I feel like the just the villain alone, like I really liked him for most of the film, and I was like, they had to do some pretty unredeemable stuff for him for me to dislike him, and it took a while. I was like, you're just making him awful now for the sake of it, so that I will have to root for the good guy.
Did you feel like they were going, huh? I bet you didn't see this coming. And you were like, I just assumed from the beginning this is what would happen.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. I was like, oh, so it's going to be this guy who turns in the first like 10 minutes. I was like, it's definitely going to end up being that. That's your arch enemy, right? Yep. Oh, I was right. Cool. Okay.
I don't know why I hate Jared Leto so much, but I do. Like in every movie, in every interview.
He's a weird freaking dude.
He's a weird guy.
So fucking pretentious. And the amount of work he put into his body for this film is shocking. Just the amount of weight he lost and then gained to, get back into the Morbius shape. All of that stuff was real.
I didn't realize that.
And I'm like, what made you think this was the film you should put this much effort into?
Yeah, that would be my question for sure. Like, why? Like, first of all, they can just pay for that. They can just CGI that. It's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if Doctor Who over there had a similar regimen. I'm assuming not, but
he seems like a much less intense human being.
He really does.
And I'm sure that he was just like, so how fit do I have to be for this? And they were like, we'll draw the muscle on you. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we'll don't worry. We'll put baggy clothes on you and then we'll give you slim clothes and you'll be fine. And no one will know. No one will be the wiser.
My
it was, my takeaway is it was a film that was watchable. And that's about it. I could sit through it and watch it.
Quite bad. And I was really disappointed that the trailers really lured you into thinking Michael Keaton was going to somehow be a part of this film instead of the 3-minute scene at the end.
What was the scene? What was the end stuff? That was so bad too, because you end at a point and you're like, okay, like this character is just starting this journey. And then 2 minutes later, they do the first like end credit stopping for short film thing.
Sure.
And he's like this is like 5 years later kind of version. Like he's got a cool car and he's got an established MO. And like, I'm like, what happened? What? I'm missing so much information in the last minute of this last movie.
Not only that, but you're like, that would have been a much cooler movie to watch.
For sure. I was like, where's this guy? Why are we in this story? It's fine.
Is it a kind of an origin story for him?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I wonder if it got, I know it got pushed back because it was supposed to be released, but I wonder if they were like, in the middle of the pandemic and all this stuff about bats coming out about. I wonder if they were like, well, shit, we probably shit the bed with this story.
Let's just put a little pause on this guy. And like, bats are cool. Bats are great. Bats will definitely not be responsible for bad things.
Anyways, I watched one of my old school favorites sort of redone. Rocky IV, Drago versus...
Yeah.
Like, it's such a fucking great film. I mean, it's like if a montage was made into an entire movie. Because it's got the fights and then train for the fights and then a fight and then training and lots of training and then a brief moment between and then some more training. But it's all shot so cool and it's so much fun and the music is so energetic and energizing and the black and the white, good and the bad are so deeply ingrained. And he's lifting logs. He's climbing this weird stair master thing and like he's getting injected with drugs and stuff. Well, Stallone's out there helping a guy get his wagon out of the ditch and shit. It's like, and I didn't notice. It's been a while since I watched Rocky IV. I only noticed one major difference. There's definitely a lot of difference when he's in the final fight. The coach in the corner says a lot of different things. It's a lot more
different than what?
More energetic, more like you got to do this more. There's the line. The only line I noticed that they definitely cut was where his buddy says, Rocky says, "Man, I've seen 3 of them," and his friend says, "Hit the one in the middle." And the coach then says, "Yeah, hit the one in the middle," in the original version. In this one, he has a totally different group of things.
Oh, wait a second. So I guess I missed what you were talking about. This is not. What is this?
Stallone went back and recut Rocky IV.
Oh,
What?
I did not know this.
Yeah. I mean,
What?
it's not deeply different, but again, I haven't watched Rocky probably in 15 years or so, or Rocky IV.
Did he just do that, or did he do all of them?
No, just 4. He did like a year
weird.
ago or something like that.
Huh.
Big, really. Amazon put it out as a streaming exclusive for a little while, and I'm curious to go back now and watch the Blu-ray one I've got of the original cut to see how much is different, but it's not that different.
Just a little slimmer.
It's still got the if you can change and I can change. It's still got all that kind of stuff in it, and all the same music, and the drive in the Lamborghini when he's trying to figure stuff. It's all very similar. But
How strange.
yes,
I mean, it's a good film. I don't know what.
it's good for what it is.
Yeah, it's of its time.
Height of the Cold War.
Yeah, it does that, and the coming back from he's like what 6 inches taller than Stallone at least in the movie and stuff. So it's a fun watch. Boxing is so much better in the movies than if you watch a live bout. That was my introduction to boxing, was the Rocky movies. Like, I think I'm gonna go watch some boxing. This looks great. I'm going, there's a lot of dancing around the ring here. This is why they do the 8-round, 9-round, 10-round montage during that. But yeah, it's fun.
Well, that is all very interesting. I'm going to have to check that out. Okay, why don't we take a break then? And then when we come back, we're talking about your genre pick, Vanessa, which is social media.
Mm-hmm.
And we're back.
Oh.
Instead of mailing everyone my vacation photos, I'm saving a ton of time by posting them to my wall.
Ooh, I like that one.
It's so quick. It's just like my car insurance. I saved 15% in just 15 minutes.
I saved more than that in half the time.
I'd unfriend you.
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
15 minutes for a quote isn't how it works anymore. With Esurance, 7.5 minutes could save you on car insurance. Welcome to the modern world. Esurance, backed by Allstate. Click or call.
We have returned after a lengthy discussion of Vanessa's eating habits.
True.
Vanessa, you want to start us off on this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us what you were thinking about, because I hate you for this.
Well, I was thinking about how recently we've seen a lot of films that showcase social media and interesting apps and modern technology that's really of the now. And I was kind of fascinated by all these different films that have been utilizing it. And I know that we had kind of talked about a few. I really love the film Searching. And
oh, yeah, it's a good one.
Eric, you'd mentioned Deep House at the start of one of the shows. And I just thought, it'd be really fun to check out what's out there. There are 4 different social media films I've been meaning to see and have not seen yet. So I thought it would be a good idea.
Did you watch all 4 of them?
Let's see how this plays out.
Well, so I watched a film that people have been telling me for a while I would love. That movie, I almost bought it too on Vinegar Syndrome. Tragedy Girls from 2017.
Sometimes I just feel like nothing I do matters. Like I'm not special. We only got 1 retweet today from your mom. Sad.
We were just wondering if maybe you could give our blog a shout out.
A shout out from me would be a little off brand.
I have 15,000 followers. You know what that means, a community like this?
More to the left. His heart's more to the left. You're just hitting bone, dude. I'm trying.
Mr. High is trending. I really hope nothing bad happened to him. It's like poof. He vanished, right? Anybody could be next, even you. You can find more information on our Tragedy Girls Twitter page. Your brains, my charisma, we could do anything.
Quick soundbite from the Tragedy Girls.
I can't even do this right now.
Are you afraid that the serial killer will target you because of your infamous blog. We will not take any more shit from this serial killer. I'm so scared right now.
Look amazing.
Jeez. Michaela? Shit. Damn it, okay. I'm sorry. Stay in character.
Phone's off, but it's a matter of life and death.
You bitch is crazy.
We used to be the same, you and me. Do you remember our first time? I just want to know, what's next for the Tragedy Girls?
What happened there?
Nothing.
Is that blood?
Heavy flow day.
I don't know if that's not how that works, right?
So this film has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 84% from critics and 63% from audience. So critics kind of like it. Budget of question mark, no idea, could not find. Box office of somewhere between $122,000 and $133,000 worldwide. $12,000 opening weekend. So basically, this was a streaming film. Like this was not. It got distribution and went on to DVD. It was definitely not playing in theaters, at least not very much. The director/writer is a person named Tyler McIntyre. They're primarily an editor. They actually have 40 credits of editing, just lots and lots of TV movies. So, which makes sense because of another character in this film. They have 9 directing credits, mostly did a lot of short films and 2 features, which is this and a film called Patchwork, which I have not seen, and 1 episode of the Into the Dark TV series. The another writer on it was Chris Lee Hill, who's done 7 things, including Patchwork and Tragedy Girls with Tyler, and a lot of a TV series called The People That Touch Your Food. And I know, it's like, is this Canadian? And this hour has 22 minutes. And the screenplay was done by Justin Olson, who has also only written 2 things, which is this and something called The Dweller. It is starring a couple of people who are recognizable. Brianna Hildebrand as Sadie Cunningham, one of the 2 lead girls. She is the poor friend. She's been in 16 things. You would recognize her as Negasonic Teenage Warhead in Deadpool. She's also showed up in the TV series Lucifer and another TV series called Trinkets. Alexandra Shipp as Michaela Hooper. She is the rich friend. She's been in 33 things, including 41 episodes of House of Anubis TV series. She's also in the new X-Men films as Storm. And I remember her most recently from Tick, Tick, Boom, where she plays Susan. And the other main person is Jack Quaid as Jordan Welch. You would know him as Huey in The Boys. Oh. Or Ensign Brad Boimler in Star Trek Lower Decks. So I really like Jack Quaid. That was a fun surprise for me. There's definitely like quite a few faces that are recognizable in here. We have Kevin Durand as Lowell, who's like a serial killer. He's been in 79 things. He's just super, super recognizable. Gabriel and Legion, Fred Dukes in X-Men Origins Wolverine, just lots of TV stuff. As soon as you see his face, you'd be like, oh man, I know you from something. Craig Robinson, who has been in 83 things. He plays firefighter Al. He's a Black comedian who has worked with Seth Rogen and Judd Apatow a lot, including Hot Tub Time Machine, This Is the End, Zack and Miri Make It Porno, etc. He's also very recognizable. And to my surprise, Rosalind Chow, who's been in 135 things, plays the mayor. Apparently on IMDb, she's trying to bury this, but she is Keiko O'Brien from Star Trek. And all of her little like mini like posters that are, you would know me from this, are all things like Joy Luck Club. I'm like, no, that's not what I know you from. Don't try to hide it. I know exactly who you are, Rosalind. The story is it's got this kind of really classic teen horror film opening with two kids making out at Sweetheart's Bridge in a car. The windows are all fogged up. It's late at night. They're alone. There's kind of a mist in the air. The girl is in the car making out the guy and kind of seems to be waiting for something and listening out for something. You're not really sure what, but I've seen the movie poster, so I know what. um, and she hears a sound and she's like, "Hey, go check on it." The guy's like, "No." She's like, starts calling him like a pussy and shit. And you go get your ass out there. So pushes him basically out of the car. He gets out there, looks around, and he's like, "Cool, fuck this." Starts to leave because he's like, this is obviously a bad situation, and immediately gets an axe through his skull. There's a killer on the loose. The girl runs away from this massive dude in a big black robe chasing her, follows her. And of course, he ends up in a trap because her and her friend have secretly been hunting him. They've been stalking him for a while, figuring out his roots and his routines. And she's basically been making out with various guys in various locations for quite a few days, trying to wait for this guy to show up so that they could get him. They tase him, knock him out, tie him up. And when he wakes up, they reveal that Sadie and Michaela are two high school seniors who are basically obsessed with all things killers, serial killers, becoming killers, anything involving blood and guts. Huge fangirls of him saying, "We follow your work." And they ask if he'll mentor them. And he's a crazy madman. So he's like, "Fuck you, no, I'm going to like open your guts and like throw them at your parents." And they're like, "We're going to leave you for a couple days. We'll come back when you're ready to talk to us further." They then take the kid that he put an axe through the forehead of and start to get ready to chop him up when he wakes up, because apparently he's still alive. And so they murder him. They go ahead and just finish him off and start chopping up his body and throwing it in lie in front of the serial killer, kind of showcasing like, yeah, they mean business. So Sadie and Michaela are basically two girls who are trying to become social media stars. They run a true crime blog called Tragedy Girls, and they will do anything to get more followers. They're attempting to tell like the police and the press all the stuff that they know about the serial killer, but no one is interested. No one cares. No one's following their blog. So they decide that the best thing to do is to set up a series of murders, blame it on a mysterious assailant, write about it, like they've got the lead on all of this, and hopefully rise to fame. They are pissing off the local sheriff quite badly because they keep messing with his investigation, but that's okay because his son Jordan, Jack Quaid, has a huge crush on Sadie. And so he decides to go ahead and help them out with their mission. He doesn't know they're murdering people, but he does know that they want to be famous. And so he is an editor. He's really good at editing. And so he helps clean up and make their social media videos look pretty rad. And thus begins a killing spree around town with Michaela and Sadie doing things like killing Michaela's ex, who has more Twitter followers than them, but doesn't think it is on brand to give them a shout out. They kill Syl, a head cheerleader who tries to cancel prom because there's too many deaths and wants it to be more of a serious memorial, which pisses them off because they want prom. So they ruin her little library that she's created and put into a contest. So it's like a little wooden house that's, those little borrowing, lending libraries. Yeah. She then goes to the wood shop and they brutally murder her. Big Al, the firefighter, speaks out at Syl's funeral, trying to speak eloquently and sadly about what happened, but he steals attention away from the two girls, so they decide he's next. So there are just a spree of murders. Meanwhile, Lowell is kind of planting in Michaela's head that Sadie may betray her and leave her, and that Sadie is going to steal all of her followers. He really is getting under her skin. And then, of course, Sadie does something that ends up saving Jordan's life, and she is given a big honor, lots of followers, and they even call her the tragedy girl, separating Michaela off, which of course makes Michaela crazy. And she may or may not decide to go ahead and go solo, but team up with maybe Lowell and, do the thing that they were going to do in the first place, which is murder pretty much everyone at the school. So Sadie has to make a big decision as to whether or not to return to Michaela or hang out with hot boy Jordan. This film is, I don't know. I'm glad I didn't buy it. It's pretty mean-spirited in that way that I don't like films, it turns out. It is a thing I do not enjoy. I don't like films that it doesn't feel like there's much of an arc to these characters. It feels like a flat line. I don't see why I'm here experiencing the things I am. It just feels like I'm just being given information. I've seen these jokes before done better. It's kind of boring in various parts. They abuse their video editor, which I don't think is very nice. And the poster is a giant fucking spoiler. So that's not good, guys. I kept waiting for the thing to happen that I saw on the poster. And then I was like, oh, okay, cool. It does have some really funny moments in it. I think the death and the deaths they have in the gore are pretty well done. It feels like it's of its time for sure. The two leads are very good. In fact, all the actors in this are pretty great. And I like their use of the serial killer. I think that is actually a little bit unique by kidnapping him and then sort of using him in their own ways. Like that's probably the strongest part of this film. But yeah.
I know I've seen the film and you say it that way. And really the only stuff that's stuck in my head from that movie is that scene where they've got him tied up and are dealing with him. I don't remember much of the rest is sort of I don't care. Moments.
I mean, I really like Jack Quaid. So there was a lot of moments in there that I liked with him, but he was really underused in that film as well. One of the strongest jokes I think though is he clearly looks way too old to be in high school. And so when they first introduce him, they're like, oh yeah, he's just mad because he got held back a year and he's doing his senior year twice. And you're like, that's good. That's strong writing right there. But there's little moments in it, but overall I was pretty disappointed. I was expecting a lot more from this. So trivia. Not a ton of trivia on this. Not a lot written up about it. Maybe if I gotten the Vinegar Syndrome version, I probably would know a lot more, but I don't. So Archie comics in Riverdale are a source of inspiration for the town of Rosedale. And Craig is purposely dressed to look like Archie. Sadie and Michaela are both cheerleaders, much like Betty and Veronica. And their popular teen hangout is a juice bar, which is a nod to the malt shop. Creepy masks the girls end up using with the crossed out eyes are a tribute to Jean Rowland's iconic Masked Girls. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure it's cool. Another high school student made the one that made that little lending library. It is modeled after the Myers house in Halloween. There's aluminum foil stars at prom that are a reference, of course, to Carrie. The mayor's death is a nod to Cannibal Holocaust. There's definitely a lot through here that you're like, you guys like horror movies. In fact, the guy who plays the janitor in this is the serial killer in the Adult Swim film Too Many Cooks. So that's pretty fun.
Too many cooks.
Too many cooks. It was filmed in Kentucky, and the use of the Sweetheart Bridge was actually suggested to them by locals. This premiered at South by Southwest and was picked up by Gunpowder and Sky. I think it was an early pickup by Gunpowder and Sky because their logo sucks. And I used their stuff on Prospect, and it is much better by the time I did Prospect, which was several years ago. So, yeah, glad they changed that. And you can watch it for free on Shudder, and that's my movie.
What year did this come out?
This came out in, 2017. I did write it down.
2017. Okay.
Yeah.
And the guy who plays Huey still look too old to be in high school? Because he's pretty young looking.
He is, but he's not. It's weird. When you put him next to younger people, you're like, man, you look too old. But then you put him next to adults and it's like, man, you look young. He's got a weird thing going on.
Okay. I'm used to seeing, John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John as high school kids, so I believe everything.
But he's got like kind of not a receding hairline, but he looks older, not in a super attractive way. I think he looks like a normal human.
I got a friend who, hi there, I know you're listening, who started to have a receding hairline when he was fairly young. So it's possible.
It is very possible. It's not like outside of belief, but it does feel, especially with the two lead girls who look way younger. They look like actual high school age or early college at least.
Eric, you want to go next?
Sure. I actually was okay with the one I picked by the time I finished watching it. We're talking about 2020's Initiation.
Happy homecoming to our Kappa newbies!
Boys, it's real simple. Top comment.
An exclamation point.
Tag the hoes to protect the bros.
Cause I'm locking out, I can't go cause I'm stuck. I can't go cause I'm locking out, I can't go cause I'm stuck.
Yo.
Something's happened with your brother. We just found him at his fraternity.
We have one victim and are still looking for a suspect. Please call us if you have any information.
We've had issues of cyberbullying on campus.
What do they post?
An exclamation point.
Yo, someone's in here.
Last year, that girl, something happened to her.
This is something that if it were to spiral out of control, could hurt all of us. I'm hoping to keep this between us.
And it's like our Rotten Tomato scores were reversed. 61 from the critics and 82 from the crowd.
Whoa.
And this was also by a straight kind of release because it had a box office of $63,704.
A good weekend.
Yeah, exactly. So it's directed by John Berardo, who has done 17 shorts and a film called The Labyrinth. Writer, wrote most of his own stuff. Lindsay Levanchi, who's also written a few things with him, and Brian Frager, who is also co-writer, so you see where this is going. And is also a filmmaker of his own, who's done some directing on his own. The stars, Isabella Gomez, who was in The New Head of the Class, and The New One Day at a Time. Lindsay Levanchi, who's a Scream TV show, lots of shorts with John as well. Froy Gutierrez, who was in Teen Wolf, The New One Day at a Time.
Yeah.
Cruel Summer, the TV show, and Hocus Pocus 2, upcoming. Yancey Butler, who's been around a while. Hard Target, Kick-Ass 1 and 2. 23 episodes of Switchblade, which I do not remember.
Are you sure it wasn't Witchblade? Because she was.
I hope so.
She was the cop.
Witchblade would be much better.
Yeah, she was the cop in Witchblade.
And Lachlan Monroe, Unforgiven, Scary Movie, Peacemaker, and 255 other credits. So they're recognizable. This movie had 22 producers.
Oh my God. Wow. Is it a Kickstarter joint?
5 were actually producers. All the rest were associate or investment style executive producers.
Mm.
But it kind of starts a lot like a lot of these social media things do, with the youngins out partying, texting to each other. They did the visual on-screen text and Instagram posts and stuff very well.
Oh, nice.
They looked really neat, and it wasn't just a set way they did it. They'd angle them sometimes, they'd move them around, and it was really well done. Looked like they put a lot of thought into how they were doing it, which they had to because it's a very important part of the film, at least for a while. It's basically a college Greek admission movie at the beginning. It's done very bizarre though. It's like, okay, could you guys just afford like one sort of frat house or something? Because it's like, are all the men and the women living in the same house? Okay, no, they're not. But when it starts off, they're hazing the recruits like at the same place and all that stuff. It's very weird. Like, is that how they do it now? Like guys and girls just get together and involve hazing each other with the other frats and sororities? I don't know.
Seems unlikely.
Yeah. Of course, you're doing the guys being sketchy because they're college guys, so they're automatically sketchy. And they do a really interesting job with a modern take on this kind of stuff where the sorority girls are buddying up, setting up, let's make sure we stick together, don't leave unless you've made sure your person you're with is ready to leave, and you guys are all... So that's done fairly well. Of course, being the kind of movie it is, it doesn't actually work. There's no disturbing scenes done, but there's a very strong implication that one of the women is raped by the lead, I think it's the lead sorority brother. And
fraternity brother.
The sorority lady's brother.
Who's
running the fraternity. She's a sorority, he's in the fraternity.
Ugh.
Wow.
And comes out as the story goes along that he'd had something like this before, like last year, but it did the internal college investigation kind of thing and was sort of swept away because he's an Olympic level swimmer. The acting in this film is all pretty solid. As I mentioned, most of those people have a lot of experience and have done a lot of on-camera stuff. So the scenes are handled well, and the suspicions and things, it's not like when you're watching a badly acted movie, you go, well, obviously this person is guilty and this person absolutely knows it. This is more like, I'm pretty sure she knows it, but she's hesitant. And it works. The acting is done well enough that it works. They do, as I mentioned, it's a swim team, which to me is like, well, that's a smart budget level way to have jocks in your movie. They're all on the swim team, and there's like 3 swimmers and a coach.
so you don't have to have them on the football field.
Yeah, exactly.
12 people in uniforms and all that stuff.
Yep, exactly. There's definitely leaning towards something that has happened towards the women as the movie moves on. And then a killer appears. He has sort of a chrome mask, kind of like a chrome dome.
Oh, yeah, chrome skull.
Yeah, but it's a different design, and it's just a front-facing mask. And this is where it gets into the weirdness of doing a social media-based movie. In that, for the final scenes, they all end up in an administration building, and somehow the Wi-Fi and everything like that is disconnected, so nobody can communicate with themselves.
Oh.
Which then, allows the separation might happen in a horror film, and the pick-off stuff can happen. But it's kind of like, oh well, to something that's such a heavy social media thing, to include that as part of your thing, not just, well, I don't have service or my battery's dead.
Sure.
Because a lot of that is handled quite well now in films. Like years ago, that was the automatic thing. You drive, oh, I have no signal now.
Yeah.
I feel we've moved past that.
Yeah.
The movie's a lot more of a drama heavy. The killer is somewhat violent. I don't know. It feels right. It feels well planned, but not Jason kind of killer who's been doing it for 20 years kind of thing. There's an incredibly well done dramatic scene where her brother is the first person killed in the movie. The guy suspected of the rape is the first person killed. And when the police deliver this news for her, she was in the process of checking her friend's clothing for DNA of her brother to see if it really was him or not. And so they deliver this news, and she reacts, immediately, I've got to call him. This can't be true. And it's like, holy shit, this is mature level of writing for this scene. And it's not just I fall to this car and scream and sad, that she's going through a nice complex series of emotions. It's fairly well done. Not you start with this subject, I'm going, oh boy, it's going to be a bunch of these stupid fast crap, and it's like, oh, all right, this scene actually really works. They've got I forgot the guy's name, but he's an actor you'd recognize from anything as the lead administration guy who's, hey, let's just sweep this under the rug. Administration person very well. This is a mystery of who's doing the killing, so I'm not going to give the reveal. I want to let you know who's the one killing everybody. I mean, it's it's that kind of movie. There's like 5 people it could be. But anyways, it does have one of my biggest pet peeves of all in horror films. I like that one with the clown that came out a couple years ago, Terrify. It drove me nuts because there's like 10 scenes in that movie where somebody smacks the clown and runs away. This has a couple of them where the lady stabs the guy like once in the leg and then runs off. I'm going, you should probably take advantage of your situation there and finish him off. But she doesn't. I enjoyed this one. I thought it was deeper than most social media things. The social media was integrated in a way that made it very important, but it didn't lean on it. Because there was a lot of this stuff of like this fraternity has if a woman is easy, they post an Instagram photo with her name and an exclamation point at it. And it's one of those things that everybody knows. And so the girl that they feel was probably attacked, the next day she gets posted like that. It's well done. So notes and trivia. So, let's see what we've got. Hey, the movie was the budgetary constraints are definitely available here because the movie was shot in 16 days and finished in editing in 10 weeks.
Whoa. Jeez.
They were at least detailed in the way they did stuff. The effects person glued thousands of hairs to a prosthetic hand for a shot that was like a second or so in the movie.
Whoa.
They custom built the weapon that the killer used, which is a little surprised because I don't remember the weapon standing out. I mean, it's a drill, but apparently it's a very cool drill. The reason for this filmmaker, I don't know if Chrome Dome was the same thing, but he wanted to design this with the chrome aspect, so as the killer is stalking people, you can see them in his mask.
Oh, okay. Like Peeping Tom style.
Yeah.
What about the camera, though? Can you see the camera in his mask?
No. But at the same time, I don't remember watching the movie going, whoa, that's a great shot. I can see the killer. So it may have been the intention, but I don't know how well the final execution was. The cast did the usual thing of, hey, we're going to be friends. Let's hang out with each other before shooting started. So they all got together and seemed to work because they did seem to, except when they weren't supposed to, they did seem to generally like each other. Film was originally titled Dem Banger. But that was changed, obviously. The distributor said, no, we're not showing this movie that has implied rape as Dem Banger.
Dem Banger?
Yeah, DEM Banger.
Huh. Is that a reference to anything in the film?
No. I'm sure it's a reference
banger
to
is the party, right?
Yeah, I think that's usually what it means.
But what is Dem? I'm
Dem
so
people
old.
having Dem Banger.
Weird.
You kids in your bangled talk.
German, maybe?
It's a reference. It's actually supposed to, I just found it in my notes here. It's a reference to the code term for an exclamation point.
Oh.
I'm not sure what code that is. I don't think the U.S. military is going, you're being attacked, Dem Banger.
That's so weird.
So I don't know what that's code for. But overall, yep, I was pleasantly surprised by this because there's been a lot of the social media films that, the way movies are anymore, if there's something I'm not liking, I just stop watching it.
Yeah.
And that's happened a few times now. Which, never happened back when you rented from Blockbuster or something.
Yeah, you were in for the night.
Watching this whole damn thing. I had to carry it home.
$5.
Exactly. Okay, so I wanted to go last because I want to give a spoiler alert for this film because it's got lots of twists and turns, and if you haven't seen it, I would suggest you see it before I talk about it because I'm definitely going to spoil it for you guys. The movie I chose is Scare Campaign from 2016.
How we feeling, team?
This is gonna be epic.
Bet your ass it is, Susie.
I just don't want any surprises this time, Marcus.
We're gonna get gold from this guy, trust me.
Our stooges just crossed the bridge.
Showtime in 10 minutes.
Marcus said, the best pranks are the ones that go a little off script.
He only says that because nothing ever goes to script.
Shit, he's here.
Okay, time to move, people. First positions.
You ready? Okay, go.
Sorry to have you out so late in the day, but we've had a
There
number
used
of...
to be a magnificent raft rhododendron running all along here.
How do you know that?
I planted them. Oh, yes, I know all the nooks and crannies. All the hiding spots. All the places you should never, ever go.
Abs, you're on.
No, I don't like this, Marcus.
Someone set us up. We're all fucking stooges. 33 of this time.
We have to help them!
Vanessa, I had a really hard time with this. This might have been the first time I had a really hard time with a subgenre topic. So I guess it's about time.
It's a definitely revenge for disco. So you know.
The problem is not that there aren't good movies with this kind of topic. It's that I've seen them and I didn't want to do something like Assassination Nation, which I've seen and like a lot, but I feel like it has gotten enough publicity, and stuff like that, or searching. So I watched #Alive. #Alive is a Korean zombie flick.
Oh, yeah.
The #Alive part only lasts for about 10 minutes of the movie before everybody's phone is dead because the power is out and everything. And it has nothing to do with the rest of the movie. So that wasn't going to work. And then I tried something else, but whatever. I finally just got angry and went with a movie that I hadn't seen in a while, but remembered I liked.
Well, luckily you didn't let me know at all that you disliked this topic through text. So you just wore it valiantly and with honor.
Let's not live in the past, Vanessa. This movie is from 2016. I could find no budget information of it, but just like Eric's, it has a box office of $116,000 and $116 and $23. So very specific. No Rotten Tomato critics, but the audience has it at 32%. And I'm a little surprised because I really liked this movie.
Wow.
And I just thought that it was kind of a known or a unknown good movie, but people hate this movie, as I will get to in my reviews at the end. Written and directed by Cameron and Cairn Carnes, who are a brother team that write and direct their movies. They did something called 100 Bloody Acres, which I have not seen, but sounds fun in a Tucker and Dale Meet Evil kind of way. So I'm going to look for this.
Nice.
And their next movie is called Late Night with the Devil. It's in pre-production, and it is about a 70s late night show where they accidentally summon evil and it goes into everybody's living rooms. And I was like, oh, these guys make fun movies.
No kidding.
It stars Megan Warner, who was in The Veil, The Caretaker, and Beauty and the Beast, A Dark Tale. Ian Meadows, lots of Australian TV, including The Wrong Girl, The Moodies, Rush, Home and Away.
Home and Away.
Olivia de Jong, The Sisterhood of Night, Better Watch Out. Stray Dolls, and Josie and Jack. I will assume that our friend and listener Rob Corliss has seen or heard of some of these. The only one that
Yes.
stuck out for me was Better Watch Out. Okay, so this story, it opens. Got a great opening. Here's the thing, you guys. This movie is full of little twists and everything. I'm spoiling it at all for you here. So if you have any interest in this, please go watch it. Turn this off, watch it, come back. We will still be here. So we open on a guy who's taken on a job at the morgue as a security guy. He's the the night shift security at a morgue, and he's being walked through the building by his boss, and she's telling him how creepy the place can be, and she's really laying it on thick. And she's talking about how sometimes a body will sit straight up and moan because of the gas trapped in the body and shit like that. Then she's like, "Okay, have a good night."
Beautiful.
And he's kind of an older dude. When I say older, like my age, so he's probably in his 50s, but he's very Australian 50s. So he plays like a 70-year-old. So right off the bat, creepy shit starts happening while he's there. And at one point, a body sits up in a body bag. That would have been enough for me to just be like, all right, I'm out. But no, he goes and unzips it. And it's a dead woman in there. But then the eyes pop open and stare at him. And he freaks out, terrified. He goes run back to his office as this zombie girl is coming after him. And then he pulls a gun that he's not supposed to have and is about to blow her away when a bunch of people rush in and they're like, whoa, 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 drop the gun. And he's like, what the fuck is going on and everything. And it turns out that we are watching a show called Scare Campaign, which is a prank show.
Oh.
And they're just like, holy shit, wow, why do you have a gun? So after this scare, the producers get together, and one of the actors who is in the thing, she's just like, hey, you guys, we got to be a little more careful about this stuff, because one of these times we're going to end up scaring the wrong guy and somebody's going to end up dead. So they are then shown by their main producer a new web series that is kicking their ass called Masked Freaks that involves a bunch of costume people killing other people gruesomely.
Oh.
Now, it seems to me that they are actually killing these people live.
Sure.
And, but that is all just kind of accepted. And the producer's like, look, they're getting way more likes and shares and everything than we are. So you guys are going to have to, amp it up. So they take their next episode to an abandoned mental hospital where they intend to hire a new groundskeeper and then scare the shit out of him. And they show them setting the prank up. So they've got all these tiny little speakers everywhere and little mini fans that'll blow curtains around and all of this stuff. And they have hired this young girl to play a ghost in this place. And they hire this dude, and he is a little weird right off the bat, but then it kind of goes south because you realize, oh shit, he was a person who was at this mental facility when it was running before.
Oh, God.
And the nurse, the actor who's playing the nurse, she says, oh, and she's like trying to kind of hint to the producers who are all in this kind of a main room with a bunch of TV screens and all this stuff. She's trying to, let's cut this out. We don't want to do this guy. This is exactly the kind of thing I was saying we don't want to do. And they're all like, no, this is great. This is going to be fucking great. So, as the prank goes along, the groundskeeper starts exploring the asylum through the team's special effects, and the nurse is just constantly trying to steer him back to where he's supposed to be and all this stuff. But he's got this faraway look in his eye and everything. And then, of course, the ghost girl shows up in one of the windows across the way, and now he's just for sure like, okay, I am here for a reason. All of this shit, and you can see that he's starting to go a little nutty. It's a really great premise. I was just like, I am really enjoying the fuck out of this. The girl who's playing the ghost is named Abby, and when she is given the signal to surprise him as he walks into a room, the groundskeeper pulls out a knife and violently stabs her to death.
Oh my God.
And it's just like, holy shit. It's like an old letter opener, actually, but he just does one of those, he stabs her and then he just continues to stab her over and over and over again. And everybody is in their little control room freaking out and all that. It's really, really brutal. And Emma is the one producer / actress who is playing the nurse. And it's clear that she is our protagonist in this because the other producers are kind of assholes about everything. And she's the one who had warned them off of this. So she's trying to get away. She's trying to get everybody away. This guy can't be reasoned with and all that stuff. And she keeps bumping into like the bodies of her coworkers who have been killed and then staged by this guy. One of them's hanging from the ceiling with his guts hanging out, and one's got the throat slash and all that stuff. She finally gets the keys to the car to escape, and the groundskeeper is in the back seat waiting for her.
Oh, no.
And she turns around, she's got a knife, and she stabs him through the hand and runs out of the car. But that's when we realize that this groundskeeper guy is in on the prank, and Emma is the one they are pranking for this episode.
Oh my God.
So he's got a knife through his hand and he's in the car going, "What the fuck? What is going on here?" And the producers are in the main room, going, "Oh, sorry about that. Well, that's not very good." And she ends up bumping into the producers and she's saying, "We got to escape." And they're trying to explain to her, look, this was just a prank. Sorry. Here come those spoilers, you guys.
Oh no.
Here's when the masked freaks people show up.
Oh, yes.
And she now knows that this is a prank. So she's like, "Fuck you guys. And fuck all of this and everything." They kill her producer right next to her. And she's like, "Oh, shit." And it becomes very clear that these guys are the real deal. And they are going around and they have somehow hacked into the Scare Campaign computers and applied their own algorithms to what Scare Campaign was doing. And now Scare Campaign is getting a ton of likes.
Oh, jeez.
And all of this shit. And the ratings are going crazy. There's a lot more gory murdering that goes on and at least one more twist before the end. So I'm not going to give away all of that stuff because I do think it's a genuinely good movie. But because it is so recent, there is no trivia.
Oh, jeez.
So I decided to just look up some of these reviews when I saw that 32%. Of
course.
I only kept one review. Federate. He writes a bad review that is notable only for its length. He really, really hated this movie, and he wants you to know why. All I did was pick out a couple of choice paragraphs, and I will attempt to give his writing the proper gravitas. This review is titled "Aussies Attempt Horror Without Comedy. The result is even worse than usual."
Oh.
I'm going to give this the attitude I think the accent I think this guy speaks in. This movie wants so desperately to be the king of all plot twist horror thrillers, but it ends up as a big pile of predictable nonsense. Not every single thing is predictable, obviously, but the 3 key plot twists were all failures, pretty much because the writer was foolish enough to phone them in minutes or even ages before they occur. There's another piece I liked a lot.
I hope this guy hears this podcast.
Agatha Christie would have a thing or two to teach these clueless millennial screenwriters. She does stem, though, from a far more intelligent and grounded generation, so there is no comparison.
Oh my God, no. Agatha Christie's not fine.
But that's okay. I can even forgive the film its lame predictability. What I do mind is a lack of realism. This is not yet another Aussie horror comedy, despite the first half hour's somewhat irreverent approach. Aussies are just like that. They just can't help it. Hence, I hold the script to a higher level of accountability, logic-wise, than I would some goofy horror comedy.
This review better end with "Milady," or I'm going to be very sad.
The last scene is atrocious. Your standard cop-out ending scripted by a clueless writer with zero imagination. It doesn't resolve anything, doesn't serve any purpose, at least not in terms of concluding a movie. It's almost as if they'd run out of movie reels, whatever those are, and decided to call it a day. Are we supposed to be intrigued by what might happen next? In order to be intrigued, the movie has to fulfill its promise/potential while it lasts. It clearly didn't. Hence, by the time this dribble is wrapped up, I am simply not interested. They could have pulled out 3-headed dancing bears at that point. It would have made no difference. There was some potential in this, but several dodgy performances and especially shoddy writing sunk it.
Dodgy, shoddy. I wonder if they're British.
So I hate people who talk like this and use words they don't quite understand.
Yeah.
I think it makes them sound smart. However, the use of the word dodgy always makes me happy. So I walked away from this review with a smile on my face.
I would also go that it's fun when you're reading that where it's this pretentious ass talking about film, and then they make little film mistakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they didn't run out of reels. That's not what they shoot on.
Also, movie reels.
Yeah, movie reels. What's a movie reel?
Very
REAL?
This interview was at least 3 times what I've read.
Wow.
It was hugely long. And then I found just a bunch of other really bad reviews for this. And I was like, man, I thought the acting was solid. I thought the twists were nice. They weren't there was no Sixth Sense twist in this
it's
or
not
anything
trying
like
to be
that.
M. Night here.
But I thought it was just a ton of fun. I don't know if it was irreverent so much as just, people joke with each other, especially workers.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So it felt very much like that. And I thought that everybody was having a good time with this film. I really liked it. And I can't wait to see what these guys do next.
Man, I am stoked to check this out. That sounds awesome.
Oh, well, I hope you didn't listen to anything I said.
I will enjoy it regardless.
Yeah.
If there's accents involved, I'll be happy.
I either saw this on Shudder or Prime. So,
Well, you know what, guys? You're welcome. You're welcome for this challenging week.
It was a challenge.
Yeah, it was a challenge, but it worked out. Worked out in the end both times, I guess.
I guess. You can't be sad about it. You guys both ended up with better films than I did.
That's true. That's true.
That is true.
Yeah.
The thing is that I was like, oh, Tragedy Girls is like the only film I haven't seen that I would have liked to have seen. So I guess that I dodged a bullet there.
You might like it. I don't know. We have different tastes sometimes.
Clearly.
Well, there's also, you're not an editor, so you're not going to take it personally. Like
I really did get a little.
It's like when a dog gets killed or an editor gets treated poorly. It's all the same to Vanessa.
Abused. Used for their skill.
There you go.
That means it's my choice.
Yes.
Just to get back at you, Vanessa.
Uh-huh.
Hey, there's a lot of Marvel movies out right now. There's the big, huge MCU and all that stuff. But how about we do a non-MCU Marvel movie?
What?
So that opens up all of the early made-for-TV Spider-Man, Hulk, stuff like that, as well as the X-Men stuff, as well as Morbius, I think. Oh, wait, no, that ties into the MCU.
I think
with
it does
the Michael
tie.
Keaton thing.
Yeah.
But the early, now I guess the early Spider-Mans tie in with
I think
No
they're
Way Home.
still technically Sony. So until you hit that threshold.
I don't think any of us are going to dive into
I don't think so either.
Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies or something like that.
Probably not.
That's
but
I mean, it's
I think
exciting.
I think it'll be a fun thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have not even tiptoed into that world. So
It's a weird one. Yeah, it's a weird one.
oh man.
That also brings me to the point where I thank everybody for participating in the Value for Value model. Danny, again, I must say thank you for the pizzas last week because Eric didn't.
And thank you for the car.
But he knew who he was.
Sure
That's
did.
what matters.
I may not have known at
He's
the
just
time.
screaming at the radio going, that was me. You're supposed to thank me.
And I want to thank everybody who wrote those lovely reviews on Apple Podcasts that I had no idea about. And if you like the show and you haven't written a review, please consider doing so.
Pop on in.
Yeah. In fact, Eric, there was something on there that I think that you might have missed for a 5-star review where they asked you to do something. And I don't remember you talking about it, but I'll have to look it up again.
Okay, yeah.
But that is one of the things that Eric generously offers. You leave us a 5-star review and tell him what movie you would like him to talk about, and he will do that.
Yeah, that's
no
right.
matter
Give me some crap.
what quality the film
I have a
is.
large Vinegar Syndrome collection. You can give me crap. Come on. Give me something that challenges my level of crap. Like, I gotta harass our recent guest host Tony for his recommendation at Crypticon last year of Erotica from
God,
Glenn Danzig. Dude, man, that's a bad movie. Sorry, buddy. That was rough.
How funny. Well, I just dropped Tony then. I watched Hollywood Horror House right after you guys left, and I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as he did, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. So. Anyway, okay, that's it for the show. We'll be back in 1 week, and we are talking non-MCU Marvel movies.
First of all, they can just pay for that. They can just CGI that. It's fine.